Hello y'all on YouTube, this is Rob with Rob's Nerdy Knives. Today we're doing a review impressions of several Poikilo knives. And the reason why I want to do them together is because I think there's a lot of similarity. They're all Midtechs. They're all kind of the higher end ones. A couple of them aren't, but I feel like they kind of fall into this when we look at them. But yeah, let's look at these and let's talk about them. All right, today we're looking at and reviewing seven actually, Poikilo knives. I had a total of 15 sent to me from Poikilo Knives. Thank you so much to you guys out there. Andy, so kind, I appreciate it. But I had a chance to do unboxing each one, and some of them are just really crazy cool. And the craftsmanship, the material, the OEM work, everything is just really, really neat. So first off, let me just make sure you all know. There were seven parts videos before this. There were the unboxings. I did some of the knives together, so if you haven't checked them out, I'd recommend you go check out the part 1 through 7 of the unboxings. But this is going to be a review impressions, and this is kind of tough because these are Midtech knives. Midtech. These aren't technically Midtech, but when you look at them and you see what they look like, I feel like they're kind of Midtech quality, right? They may not have the Zerky tie like the other ones have. So one thing that you'll notice with all these Midtechs when I flip them here, they all have Zerky tie clips. So here we go, Zerky tie clips. A lot of them will have Zerky tie back spacers. You see that? Zerky tie back spacers. And I love this kind of like checkered thing. It's almost like Chad Nicholas Bacon Timascus, you know, kind of look, whatever, but it's Zerky tie. So I think it's stunning. Now these guys look like they're plain Janes, but they are incredibly unique and very stealthy and beautiful, big, fantastic grind blades with just ridiculous action. They're, you know, they may not be as Timascus, but I think they fall into this, right? And then this one is the smaller version. This is called a large prism. This is a small prism. So if you didn't know, this first one right here, this is the Marlin, right? The Marlin Midtech. This is the Salvatore Midtech. The Salvatore Midtech. This is the Komodo Midtech. Komodo Midtech. This is the Taro, or Tiro, I think it's Taro Midtech, right? And then this is the Rhino Midtech right here. This is the Rhino Midtech. This is the large prism, and this is the small prism, okay? So that's the name of these 7 knives. Really, really cool. So one thing, no matter what I say here, I just want to make real clear up front, the quality of these knives and the build and OEM work is outstanding, So if you love the design, you love what you see, everything here is what you want, I can't recommend it enough, I really. But in the end, I'm going to recommend things that I like, things that work well for me with my hands, my ergonomics, and I'm going to keep that in mind. I'm going to try to keep you in mind as well. If it's just a matter of size-wise, that's one thing, right? But if it's a matter of things that I find important, that's different, right? So if the knife is really big, you know, it's probably going to get a recommended. If it's something that I think is important, it might be on the edge or might not get the recommended. But it doesn't mean I recommend against it. It just means it's not comfortable for my ergonomics. Just be aware of that, okay? So just be aware of that up front if you're curious. All right, so I want to talk about them real quick. I will tell you the Zerky tie work on these clips and the back spacer is stunning. Now, it's not high polished. It's kind of a satin finish, which I like. And it contrasts to some of these blades who have the high polished DLC on here, and that's really beautiful. Now, one thing you're going to notice in all the blades, they're all M398, and the knife designer, I mean, as far as I know, there might be a knife code designer with Poikilo. I don't know each one of these. These are brand new to me, right? These are brand new. I'll have links for each one of these knives in the description down below, either at Poikilo website or other sites that have the knives if Poikilo doesn't list them currently or haven't listed them yet. Just look down below and hopefully that'll give you the information. As of this video, once generated, those are valid links, right? Secondly, the other thing that I really think is really, really important to note is that the OEM is Poikilo. Well, they have their own OEM. I don't know if it's Poikilo necessarily their OEM, but their OEM work. Now I've handled a lot of really high-end Bestech. Love those knives. Fantastic stuff they do out there. Just out of the bat, with experiencing 15 knives, technically 18 knives, right? Because I own 2. I own a Taro non-Midtech, which I love and is fantastic, and it has the same action as this guy right here, which is just stunningly beautiful. And I also own a Gecko, The Gecko is awesome. You don't see that one out yet. But I've handled 18 total, and another guy's knife who I met at Blade Show. He's another knife channel. He's the one who actually turned me on to Poikilo in the first place. He had a Gecko at after Blade Show dinner we went to, and I was like, man, dude, I missed it. And they were there, and it was my biggest regret was not to go to their booth and meet them. I really was bummed that I didn't get a chance to go to their booth and meet them. Now, I know they probably didn't have a sign up high. I get it, and that's a bummer. Maybe at Blade Show Atlanta, hopefully they'll be there, and hopefully they'll have a nice big sign. I think he's going to be there. He's definitely going to be there because I'm an idiot. He wants these back in time for Blade Show Atlanta. So these are his Blade Show knives. So you'll notice some of these knives will have like a little scratch. This has happened at Blade Show. That's not me. It's because it's been used and by different people. But consider that hundreds, if not thousands of hands that have handled these knives, they've held up really, 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 really well. So yeah. All right, so let's talk about this. The designer, I'm going to say, is Poikilo. Now, they may have worked with someone else. I don't know exactly the details of each one. Here's the thing. I got to get through this review. Yeah, I would love to take the time to do one at a time, but I don't have 3 months to do this. I'm not going to get the knives out in time. It's got to go to another reviewer. So I need to get these knives out, okay? Got to get them out, so I've got to be a little more, a little quicker. My unboxing was first impressions. Talked a lot about things. I'm going to either affirm or say, hey, I was wrong. Maybe I have a different impression now. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But this is more of just kind of after handling it and really thinking it through with all the knives. That's what I'm doing here. Okay, so the materials are great. Titanium scales. You've got, like for the Midtechs, they're all Zircuti. Backspace is Zircuti. Some of these will also have a, is it Zircuti? Yeah, so there'll be DLC. This is DLC coded. I believe this is DLC. This is DLC. And I believe this is like a two-tone finish DLC. You see DLC, and then this is polished over here, which I think is kind of cool, right? And then let's open this one here as well. This is, again, this one is the Marlin. Not necessarily DLC, but it's got a two-tone kind of acid washed, stone washed sort of finish look there, and with a harpoon blade shape. Call this a drop point, technically, maybe a clip point. You could call it, well, actually, technically it's a tanto. It has a point. Officially, that would technically fall into the tanto. It may not be like the Japanese type of tanto. This would also be a tanto, very long tanto with sort of a sheep's foot worn clip, sort of modified, whatever you want to call it. We can call it whatever. It is interesting. This is very much a Persian design. I think it's very Persian, very Russian, very, kind of looking. Then this is just totally off the wall. I mean, this is tanto, reverse tanto, together. So it's a tanto that's not sure which way he's going, right? But it's cool, man. It's a cool shape I've never seen before. And then you got a true reverse tanto on this guy right here. Some people might say it's Warncliffe, but I call it reverse tanto on this guy, right? So, and then we have a little more calm, what I have, which I consider this a tanto as well, with a kind of a drop point top. So you can call it a drop tanto, tanto drop, whatever you want to call it. But I love this blade shape. Now, normally, I would never have gone for something like this, honestly. This is kind of out there crazy for me, but I love that. I really, really love that. All right. So all the blades are M398. DLC. Let's see here. DLC on the blade, DLC polished on the blade right here. We talked about this one actually has a Zircuti kind of covers where the pivot normally would be, which I think is interesting. I believe when I was reading, there's a screw there. Once you take that apart, things start to come apart. That's the first screw that takes everything apart. These are not my knives. I'm not taking them apart. I'm just experiencing, because I've never experienced them. This is such a brand new manufacturer. I want you guys to have that experience right with me. I'm very impressed. I'm very, very impressed. This one has a couple of traditional screws, so this will be a traditional breakdown. This one has a screw here, again, another traditional breakdown. This one also has screw here, traditional breakdown, right? This one will have one screw here, no screws there, kind of a non-traditional breakdown. This one has no screw here, but there's a screw here, and you're like, well, and a screw here. So that's more traditional breakdown, because I actually took that one apart. Now this one looks like it has nothing. How do you get this one apart? I don't know. I'm sure if you go to the Poikilo website or reach out to them, you can. Now this one, the clip here, unique, is hidden clip. It's spring clip. Can you see that? Spring clip right there. So it does go in, and then you can get it in your pocket. I'm not necessarily a fan of that, but it's cool. It's something that, and it doesn't give you a good grip for the flip. So I have large hands with big meaty fingers, but their fingers are shorter. So long blades like this tend to cut me because I don't have good control over them, unless there's a clip, something I can hold on to. Now here, I actually have a clip that I can kind of hold on to, and I use that for leverage for my big short fingers, but big meaty hands, right? So you got a little flipper there, so that's kind of cool. All right, very cool. Large prism, small prism, Tiro. This up here is a Rhino. We got the Komodo, I believe, right? Komodo, right? The Salvatore, and then you've got the Marlin, right? So that's the 7 different knives we have here. One thing, they're all caged ceramic ball bearings, which I think is outstanding. The action is pretty good. Some are a little stiffer than the others. I assume some of that might be from blade show use and having to tighten them up. I took my Tiro, I tuned it perfectly for me. I put skiffs in there, which if you put skiffs on this hand satin finished, you know, super, you know, Midtech kind of version of a knife here, it's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be just insanely great. Because the one I have right now, non-Midtech, is insanely great. I already, you know, I think it's a great knife. So I'll just leave it at that. All right. I'm probably going to do a full review on this one in context of my Gecko and my Tiro together, my personal knives, because it's a little different. I put skiffs in there, long-term handle, carry those a lot more than these guys, right? All right. Here you have this kind of a pearlescent kind of bead blasted. It's like a high polish. It's like a polished bead blasted kind of pearlescent kind of finish. This one is more of a bead blasted, maybe a zerk blasted. It's kind of a cool finish. This is a high polished stone wash, I think. I love that. This reminds me a lot of Holt Blade Works and the Morpheus that I have. Beautiful, beautiful finish on that one. I love the high polished DLC. I think it's cool with the, looks like a hand sand satin finish there, off there a little bit. And then you kind of try to keep the same flow on the blade, even though the rest of it's DLC. I think it's neat. It's neat. Then over here you have just a little touch for a little sort of difference, and you got 2 different kind of blade kind of transition right here from a thicker to a thinner blade. I think that's really cool for this knife. It definitely gives it unique character and looks nice. And then over here you got that harpoon shape. You definitely get your hand in there. You got some jimping. It's not very functional. It'll work a bit. It's just not great with gloves. But if you push down, it kind of locks you in. It'll work okay. It'll work okay. Even as industrial and corner and sharp as some of these knives are with their angles and everything, this is more flowing kind of flavor. These are all very aggressive, industrial kind of hard shapes. It reminds me of, you know, Russian, Polish, Latvian, Czechoslovakian type of, you know, knife design that you see, you know, from Herman and Polish Custom Knives and Tasco, which I think it's P&H or something like that. You know, a lot of these manufacturers who have that very kind of a cool, sharper look thing. I think it's cool. I think it's cool. And one thing that I will tell you that every one of these have in common, there's no hot spots. Every one of these I grip, it's comfortable. It's absolutely comfortable, no matter what. Even this. Now, there was one. Was there one? No, not that one. Maybe it's not one of these. Maybe it's one of the other ones. I didn't care for the hidden clip. That was tough to get to. I mean, it's cool and all. Yeah, mine was perfectly fine there too. Might have been this one. It's just a little bit sharp right there, and because it's Zerky time, it's a little difficult. Yeah, this one's the one. That's a little sharp there. I wish that wasn't right there. And I don't know if this is like a production, you know, prototype or a production run for, that was one of the first ones given to Andy at Poikilo Knives, right? I don't know. There's 2 guys who founded the company, by the way. Definitely want to check them out. You know, you want the full skinny and everything like that, I can give you a link down in the description. You can read up on it. You know, I'm not your history buff. I'm just a nerd who likes knives, and I like to talk about the knives. So if you're wanting all that history, I'll show you where it's at, but I'm here to talk about the knives. So be patient and bear with me. But again, this is a little sharp. Of everything that's on here, it's such a nice knife, everything. That's just the one thing that I did notice. Even the cutaway in the lock bar is not sharp. I love all of that. So yeah, inset liner lock on this guy. Inset liner lock on this guy. This is a frame lock. This is a frame lock. Now, technically, you know, is it a bolstered frame lock? Not really. This is more like an over travel stop sort of thing right there. Frame lock for sure. Frame lock and inset liner lock. I really like this one right here for the inset liner lock. It's really nice. And that thumb hole, even though our thumb, you know, whatever, it looks small, you can still get enough of your finger to deploy it. I think it's really, really nice. All right. So that is the scales. That's the finish. Caged ceramic ball bearings. Clips are cool. DLC is really cool. Hand satin finish, I think, is really nice. We talked about the blade. M398. I don't know the exact heat treats. I'll have to ask them. And Poikilo Knives, if you happen to watch this video, feel free to comment down below if you know the heat treats. What's the range? What are you hoping to get? M398 is different than M390. I get it. It's a more of an edge retention, sort of an edge focused sort of steel from what I've read and what I remember. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I recall from M398. I'm kind of excited because I have a couple of knives in M3, well, 3 knives in M3. I have my Herman Mantis, I have my Poikilo Taro, and my Poikilo Gecko. I might have another M398. I can't remember. Anyways, I like the seal. I think it's cool. All right. So that's the blade. That's how it open closes. So let's talk about this frame lock. Easy access. Now, this frame lock, the lock bar here, is a little tight. It's a little stiff. The nice thing about knives like this is I could tune them. Now, the thumb studs on this one is, I'm going to just tell you, this is my experience. If you don't mind these thumb studs, that's up to you, right? But this thumb stud's too tight, too close to the frame. This reminds me of the Tactile knife company, the Rockwall, which I love that knife, but the thumb studs are just so uncomfortable. I tried 3 times to buy that knife, just couldn't do it. And already after 4 flicks, it's starting to hurt. It's uncomfortable. It's starting to sting a little bit. I don't like that. So nice knife, very cool, but the thumb studs are a lot to be desired. They need to have a little more step milled, a little more rounding, something. So you can kind of get an idea where I'm going to lean on which knife I'm going to recommend, which I'm not. Now this is a little bit better. So you can see the thumb studs, they're similar, but notice that the thumb stud here, there's more of an angle. So it's definitely better. This is a little steeper on these guys. Can you tell? So definitely more angled, less angled. So it does translate to a better flip, right? And I can reverse flick it. It's not the most ideal. Again, pretty tight to the scale. I can get in there where you want, but it's tough to get for a reverse flick. It's uncomfortable, and that's a bummer with thumb studs because usually thumb studs are not an issue. Even in here, it gets uncomfortable after a while, but I can definitely flick it, 5, 10, 15 times before that happens. But it does. It's not like flipping a Benchmade. It's not like flipping, a duckling or something like that. It's definitely different. All right, so this one also has a very similar thumb studs as those. Now, the little difference here is, I think, is it a little bit better cut? Yeah, it's a little better cutaway right there, right? At least in the front and the reverse, a little bit better. It's not great. It's still pretty tight compared to this one over here. As you can see, there's more of an angle. It's a little friendlier angle to get to. I think this one's not quite as friendly. Yeah, it's just not. You can see, let's see, we're clear. Yeah, you definitely have more area there to make contact with it, I think, which I think is cool. Still not my favorite. It's a little unfortunate. I think, man, better thumb studs on such a nice knife would do the world of difference. If that doesn't matter to you, it doesn't matter, right? That's just my personal preference. I fidget with my knives a lot, and after a while, I got big old meaty fingers. I don't have a little itty bitty thumb, so I put that whole thumb on there. It gets uncomfortable. This is a flipper. It's a flipper only. But it does flip well. Now, it's not tuned really. I think this could have a beautiful drop shut controlled action. It's a shake shut. It feels like it was tightened up a little bit. I hope you could tune this to be a little not as so tight. And that would be my hope, because it's just not, it's not ideal. For such a beautiful knife and for such a nice flipper. The flipper works well, good leverage. Jimping's all the way out there, so you definitely can use that. Even if you're very tip, you're not going to slip off most of the time. It's so stiff. I don't have bonus flick, but I can't even get my finger in there to pull it out. It's a flipper only type of knife, right? So you can't do a flipper delete or anything on this one. But it is cool. And then we have a couple prisms here. We have the large and we have the small. Big boys. Even the small is big to me. It's definitely large. I love the action on there. I don't know how the magical works in there. I don't know how you release this. I just don't know. And honestly, it is such a size weirdness for me. I'm not going to want to know, because I'll never own that knife. It's just too big, right? This one's more reasonable. It's more, but I hate the clip. I absolutely hate the clip, so I will never own this knife. And again, I have no idea what the screws are on this thing. I have no idea how you disassemble this knife. And because of some of the factors on this thing, I'll never own this one. I will tell you, it's incredibly well made. It feels awesome. If you love the look and design, you're going to love this knife. You're absolutely going to love this knife. But again, from my perspective, I struggle with it. I genuinely struggle with that knife. All right. This is my favorite of all of these guys because I own one, and for good reason. I like the look of it, and then when I got it, it just broke in and tuned really well. Put skiffs on this thing, it's even better. I mean, it's so nice. I don't think this has any oil, and even for not having any oil, look at that action. It's just ridiculous. And the front flipper works really nice. It's got the jimping all the way up to the top, so I can go up there and just reach there. And mine is tuned where I can do the front flip. I can do it on this one. It's a little stiffer, but I can still do it, right? And then is mine, yeah, mine I could do a middle finger reverse bonus flick. I can't do it on this guy. No flipper up here. And that's intentional because you'd have to drop that down a little bit more. But really nice, really nice. It's my favorite of all these 7 right here. It's absolutely this one. It's one of those I wish I'd found a Midtech, but then again, maybe not, because I like plain tie. I think it makes the knife really stand out. Like these guys, I think it's really nice. All right, so we talked about the blade. We talked about how it opens and closes. We talked about the lock type. I think they're all cool. I don't know how to disassemble a couple of them, but that's okay. That's all right. Let's do some measurements. Let's weigh these puppies right here real quick. So it's a few to weigh. So I'm going to go ahead and close these up. I'm going to move them off to the side here. We'll move them off here, and we'll get the calendar up here. We'll zero that out. All right, so I'm going to do that and close these guys real quick. All right, so some of these are going to be surprisingly heavy and some are not. All right, so we'll go up here. Got the Komodo. So we've got the Marlin. We've got the Salvatore, the Komodo, the Rhino, the large Zen, the small Zen, and the Taro. So let's start off with the Marlin. The Marlin weighs 4.7 ounces. All right, let's look at the Salvatore, which is 5.2 ounces. A little heavier, a little heavier. Let's look at the Komodo. I'm going to guess 4.5 ounces. A little lighter, definitely heavier than that one. Surprising. This one should be lighter, but I'm probably wrong. It is lighter. Whoa, look at that. 4.1 ounces. Lighter than even the 4.2 Marlin, which is not bad. This one's going to be heavy. 5.7. Just shy of 6 ounces. That's a big boy. This one's going to be a little less, maybe 5.6? 4.9. I was not even close. 4.9. So definitely lighter for sure, right? And then we got this guy with the Zerkutite. I just feel like it's going to be heavier. I kind of know what it's going to weigh if it didn't have that, but I think I'm going to say 5.1. I don't know. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. The non-Zerkutite was not the same weight, but that's cool. That's cool. I just get excited I got it right. At least got one right. Hey, you know, if I was baseball, that's good. That's good. All right. Oh, let's do the measurements here. Let's do the length. All right, so we'll do one at a time here. So we'll do the Marlin first. We're looking at a knife that is 8 and 3/8. 8 and 3/8 is total overall length. Handle grip, we're looking at 4.5 inches. Blade from tip to the back is 4 3/4. Cutting length is 4 3/4. So that is the Marlin, the first one. The next one we're going to look at is the Salvatore. So we're looking at a knife that is all the way to the top, 8 3/4. 8 3/4 total. The grip area right here you're looking at, the handle area is 4.5. I'm going to say 4 5/8, right? 4 5/8. The tip, from the tip of the blade to the back is, if we measure right here, we're just under 4 inches. We're at 3 7/8. Cutting length is going to be right at 4 inches exactly. 4 inches exactly. All right. So the next one we're going to do right here is the Komodo. Overall length we're dealing with is 8 3/8. Handle area going from about right here is about 4.5 inches. The blade to the tip is going to be 3 5/8. 3 5/8. Cutting length is, I want to say, between 3 5/8 and 6/8. So it's a little bit longer than that. So there you go. All right, the next one we're going to deal with is the, let me just make sure I move these up. This is the Rhino, right? Rhino? Yeah, just make sure I'm keeping my knife straight. It's a big boy. I think this one's going to be bigger. So we're dealing with 8 and 8.5. I thought it was longer. 8.5. Grip area, you're dealing with about 4 1/4 if you use that little part. So 4 1/4. The blade length on this guy is 3 5/8. Cutting length is, I want to say 3 7/8. Yeah, so it's definitely longer cutting length. All right, so that's that one. All right, so let's do the large prism, which I think is going to be the biggest guy here. I think this is definitely a big boy. So we're dealing with a knife that is 9 1/8 inches. The overall handle length, you're dealing with 5 inches. It's huge. So you got big hands, you want a big knife, there you go. 4 inches from there, 4 1/4 to there, so I'll say 4 inches from the handle. Overall cutting length is going to be 3 7/8, right? So it's a fairly big knife. I'm going to guess it's not quite 9 inches. It's going to be 8 3/4. I don't know. Oh, 8 and it's just 8, just a little over 8 3/4. I'm going to say 6/8, 9/8, 8 9/8, 8 9/8. Overall handle, if you go right here, you got about 5 inches of handle length. You look for the fingers right there. It's going to be 3 7/8. Cutting length, it's going to be 3 5/8. All right, so that's that. All right, I'm going to measure this again in my personal collection review, but here, overall length is 7 7/8. Definitely a little smaller. If you choke up position, you got about 4 inches, 4 1/4. You can probably get up to 4 1/4 inches. Blade from tip to the back, it's going to be 3 3/8. Cutting length, it's going to be 3 1/2 inches. So there you go. All right, that's a lot of measurements. That is a lot of measurements. And I know some of you guys have asked, could you compare that to like a pair 2 and a pair 3? And I thought, okay, I could do that. So let's take each one of these, right? We're gonna move them out here. So I'm gonna put this right here. So here's a pair PM2 and a pair 3 and a PM2. All right, so let's do the Taro first. So the Taro, we're looking at right in between, right? It's going to be in between the two. So you can see that, right? Let's look at the Rhino, which is definitely going to, I think it's going to definitely be bigger. It's a little bit bigger than the PM2, not by much, but a little bit for sure. And then we got the small Prism, which is to me still a big boy knife. And we are definitely longer than the PM2. We're almost a 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, I guess. It's big. And then we've got the large Prism, which I expect it to be massively bigger. Probably up with the military size, I'm going to guess. So we go from tip here. Yeah, it's like a full inch. So this is probably about the size of a military, not a pair PM2, right? And then we've got the Komodo, which is going to be about real close to the PM2. Real close. Might be just a hair longer. Might be just a hair longer. And then we have the Salvatore, which I think is the coolest looking of the knives. It's just the thumb studs are just a bummer. I would so get one if it had better thumb studs. It is going to be about 1/4 of an inch, maybe longer. Not much, but it's just a hair longer. And then we've got the Marlin, which is a cool looking knife. Those thumb studs are not good for me. They're not my favorite for sure, which is real close to the PM2. Just a hair longer than PM2. Still an outstanding, outstanding knife. All right, so that's to the PM2 and the pair 3. So you know, a nice little comparison, nice little food for thought, kind of get you an experience there. All right, let's talk about blade stock thickness. Let's get into that. I know we're covering a lot here. Oops, I just hit the camera. Sorry, might have to edit that. So let's do a little measurement on. Let's go backwards. Let's do the Taro first. So the Taro first, it's going to be 157, 158, 159 thousandths of an inch. All right, so there you go. Let's do, I had in this order. So let's do the small Prism first. 156 thousandths of an inch. You can kind of see a theme. Not thin blades, but not super thick. I mean, technically they're kind of thick when you think about it. All right, so this one's going to, ooh, stand up now. You got this. Let me hold you. 159 thousandths of an inch. They're all pretty darn close, aren't they? Let's see. I wonder if this one's going to stay within that. What do we got? 159, 158, 159, 158 thousandths of an inch. All right, so they're pretty close. At least they got nice tight tolerances. Is this one going to be the same? 158, 159 thousandths of an inch. Again, it is. I like that. I like that. That's kind of cool. Is this going to match? Let's see. 158, 159 thousandths of an inch. It does indeed. That's kind of crazy. Is this one going to match? It's going to be the oddball. Is it 158, 159,000? They all are pretty tight. Pretty good. They're very, very fairly close with each one of those. All right, very, very good. So that is the measurements. All right, so let's talk about the prices. Now that's where we get a little wackadoodle, and I'm gonna try to give you the best prices as of this video, what I have right now. All right, so the prices that I have right now, all right, so we've got the Marlin, that's $500 for the Midtech for that one, which is the more reasonable price Midtech because it's pretty close to the large prism, which is $470, and the small prism, which is $440. That's what's on the Poikilo website and what I've seen at other places, right? That's usually how they're all listed. And then we have the Salvatore, which is $630. Then we have the Komodo, which is $630. So both of these guys are around $630. Then we have the Rhino, which is $680. And then we have the Taro, which is $570. All right. So the extra price for the Zircuti is definitely, I think it's warranted. And I think it's a reasonable price. So you're gonna be like, wow, it's made in China. I get it, but it's truly, I feel like it's got Midtech aesthetics and materials that I think justify it. Here's my experience, and you may agree or disagree with me, and you have the right to do so. But having handled a lot of Riot and Bestech, I feel this quality is better. I feel like it's the next tier of what Riot could go to, right? And these guys are already there. Some of them are even further than that. So to me, that's why I feel like those prices aren't outrageous. Some of you guys are going to disagree. You're going to be like, that's like a Benchmade, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's not. It's not. If Benchmade made this, they would charge $2,000, $3,000, honestly. If McNeese made this would be a $1,500, $1,800 knife. I mean, it's just the reality of USA quality, hands-on, small batch, you know, people doing a lot of hand-in finishes. Now, I think some of these things probably have some extra finishes. I mean, you got a hand satin finished blade. That obviously is hand satin finished, right? So you have that. So because of that, I would say, all right, so I would say the Taro, the large and small prism, and the Marlin, yeah, the Marlin, the Taro, yeah, so that's 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So those guys are all going to be the very high end of a higher end knife, which is $300 to $600. Some are right in the middle, 400, 440, 470, but definitely these guys are going to be in the higher end. Now, as far as custom Midtech, and that's more of a price range for me, right? It's what a knife costs. And of course, I've kept these prices for a while, and maybe they need to shift with the inflation. I don't know. But anything above 600, I call a custom Midtech. And so I would say the Komodo is definitely at 630. Yeah, 630. And the Salvatore at 630. And then the Rhino at 680 are absolutely on the custom Midtech range. All right, so that's the prices. Are these all EDC? I think every one of these are EDC. They're made really well. They're solid. Their lockup is great. If you go into one of these, there's no blade play. It's solid in there. It's got a nice clickety detent, no detent lash. We checked all of that out in the unboxing. I mean, very impressive. Very, very impressive. So I think that's reasonable, and I think they could be EDC. I will tell you personally, I find this one would be really hard for me to do, and this one would be really, really hard for me to do. I also find the thumb studs on here would be very difficult. The only benefit about this one, it does have a fuller. And so the fuller is definitely, and let me get in there, hold it knife. It's definitely an alternative way to deploy the knife. And the nice thing is, I think, let's see, can we do it? Yeah, I can reverse flick with the fuller. Just the thumb stud is not my favorite. It's just really uncomfortable. The fuller works well. Fuller. Now, some of these I can front flip. I can probably front flip this, but it's not, there's no traction there. I will tell you, there's enough traction here where I can, hold on. Oh, well, maybe I can. I was doing it earlier. Yeah, here we go, hold on. Yeah, I can front flip that. It's a little tougher on this one. It's definitely not meant for front flipping, but you can sort of do it. Absolutely front flipper, works no problem. Front flipping works really great on this one, right? So that front flips. And this is absolutely a front flipper with a fuller, so, or thumb hole. Call it fuller hole, thumb hole. Now people say, well, that's a thumb hole. Well, it could be a fuller because it's longer. Thumb hole typically is, you know, like a rounded, oval, whatever shape. This is absolutely just a flipper only. No bonus flick, no front flipping, nothing. So there you go. I think all of these could be collection pieces, especially the Midtechs for sure. I mean, that's puts it in that fancy realm. Some people, this might be a safe queen. I like to carry stuff around this price range. I think it's a reasonable everyday EDC price range. I have knives that are significantly higher than that I still carry, but I wouldn't hard use, right? So everybody's different. Everybody carries and uses different knives, right? If I carried something like this, if this was my knife, I wouldn't go chop tree branches down with. I would carry my backup 3V, probably fixed blade. Like a lot of times I carry my McNeese 3V, you know, Ridge Runner. I want to say Ridge Runner. I want to say Ridge Rider, but it's Ridge Runner. So I like carrying and using that knife. But that's hard use kind of stuff. I have several fixed blades that I do that with, especially when I carry nicer knives. So definitely collection pieces, definitely could hard use every one of these. I would absolutely carry and hard use this one. This one I have no problem with. I really, really like the Taro a lot. Now I don't have the Midtech, which is probably nice because then I'm more apt, more prone to use it than if it had all this extra fancy stuff on there, right? So is it EDC? Every one of these I would EDC if I liked them. I would never EDC this. I just don't like this clip. It's cool, it's different, it's definitely unique, and some people are gonna really, really dig it. And it's a little easier to deploy and flip than the large prism, but it's not my cup of tea. This has a better clip. It's easier to front flip, but it's still difficult. It is one of those knives that I'm really stretched out to reach. So just letting you know, the flipper here is great. It's just I'm not a big Persian fan. It's like a Persian tanto. So I said jokingly in the unboxing, is it Persianto? Or is it Tantoja? Or ja? Is it Persian? Is it Tantojan? Maybe Tantojan? I don't know. We can call it whatever you want. I'm just trying to be funny. But it's a Persian Tanto sort of modified, kind of cool looking knife. I think it's cool. It's definitely different. Definitely different. And some of you guys are going to really dig it because it's different. Right? So, there's the benefit of that. Overall, ergos and feel, handle opening and closing. This is where we're going to get into what's recommended, what's not. So I'm probably going to put this video, I'm going to say this is going to be in the recommended. It's not going to be in my favorites because I'm going to do a separate review on this one. This is the one I own, the non-Midtech version, and I'm going to do a review with the Gecko and that one. And that's going to go into my favorites, right? This would be a favorites for the non-Midtech version, but let's go through them. Marlin. Handles, opening, closing textures. I will tell you the handling, the gripping, everything, the fact that it has a lanyard loop and everything, comfortable, no hot spots, all that is really, really wonderful. The big miss, the big miss on this one is the thumb studs, right? So otherwise, overall feeling, opening, closing is outstanding. Let's talk about the fidget factor scale. You got the thumb studs. You also have the fuller, right? You have this sort of kind of like a front. It's not really, but I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10 as far as fidget factor. You get that because of the fuller and okay thumb studs, right? If I did just the fuller, you'd get a much higher rating as far as the fidgety goodness. So 4 out of 10 as far as fidgety goodness out of that 4 out of 10. I'm going to give that probably because the thumb studs, really, I don't like the thumb studs. I'm going to give it 80. It's going to be a B minus, barely a B. Barely a B, could be a C plus. So that's just because the thumb stud's just super uncomfortable. It's a stiff lock bar. It's gotten better since I've had it. It's definitely loosened up a little bit, I'd say. Not much. I mean, this has been handled a lot at the Blade Show, so maybe I just gotten used to it, but still pretty stiff. Not a fan of how strong that is. All right, so let's talk about the next one. Well, is it recommended? This one is not. I'm not going to recommend this one. It's good. It's well made. If you don't mind the thumb studs, you don't like them tight, you don't mind that, you have big old meaty fingers like this, you're going to love it. I think but it's not recommended for me. This next one, the Salvatore, which I really like. I think it's really, really cool. Again, the handles, everything is really comfortable. Opening, closing, there's no hot spots anywhere. The opening, closing is very smooth, very comfortable. I love the fact that there's a little, let me try that again. You hear my cat in the background. It kind of works. It's not really. Thumb stud's really the only deployment. There's no other. That's it. So, but as far as opening, closing, it's kind of nice. It's pretty stiff lock bar. I would absolutely have to tune it. Thumb studs are much, much better. Textures, pretty good up here. Not super lock in, but not terrible. You have it on the back up here, which I think is really nice and works well. So you can kind of lock up a little bit. You can choke up here as well. So that does work. Jimping, it's okay, right? Clip is nice, not sharp, even though it's got the pointy tip, unlike Whereas the Rhino, it has that, this is not sharp. They took care of this. They chamfered it correctly. It's like they missed something there. And again, has a little lanyard place. If you're a big lanyard fan, you can absolutely use that. So there you go. I will say overall feel for opening closing is not bad. Not bad. It's really a thumb stud only. So the fidget factor on this one's going to be a 3. It's a 3 out of 10. It's the best you can give. It's much better, and you can sort of pseudo front flip it, kind of, sort of, maybe on the day. Anyway, so as far as it's going to get, I'm going to give that one an 80 as well. Not quite a C, but it's real close. It's a B minus. So as far as, you know, the fidgety goodness, is it recommended? I'm not going to recommend it. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of this one. I'm not going to recommend this one. This one is, again, thumb studs are something to be desired. They're too tight. So for me, it's just not comfortable long term. I love everything about it. I love the DLC coating. The look of the knife is gorgeous. Both of these two knives, I said, the look is great. Absolutely great. Just don't like the thumb studs so much so that it really bothers me. Really bothers me. So it's a B. Not going to recommend it. All right, so the next one here we have is the Komodo, which is, you know, same thing. Very comfortable. It's got the DLC lock bar. You can choke up all sorts of good stuff. You have the thumb studs there. Now, for whatever reason, it feels like there's a little more room to the thumb stud. Now, it is rounded here, whereas this one over here, it's kind of square and it looks like it's just kind of trying to fit into the corner. This feels like it's a guided path, so it's a little easier to get to. I will say it's a little easier. It's still difficult reverse flicking. Not ideal at all. So, but you do have a front flipper, and that front flipper works pretty decently. Lock bar is pretty stiff. I would definitely want to tune that. So that's kind of disappointing, honestly. Backspacer, jimping there, jimping on here, very functional, works really well. Again, I love that DLC M398. Just really, really nice. Fidget factor scale. This one's definitely going to get a 4. I'm going to give this a 4. Yeah, I'll give this a 4 because of the front flipping and the thumb studs. What's the fidgety goodness on this one? The fidgety goodness on this one, I'm going to give it an 87. It's a B+. It's not a high B+, but it's definitely a B+, not just barely a B. 87 to me is like a B+, right? So I'm going to give it an 87 on this guy right here. Could be a little better tuned. I think you could tune it if you had your own knife. There's things you could do to make it just a little bit better, but still kind of a bummer, right? So that's where we're going to stand on that one. All right, the next one we're going to do is we're going to do the Rhino. The Rhino. Flipping is fantastic. Everything here is great. Just really uncomfortable little hot spot there. And that's going to kind of impact the grip and the overall long-term, you know, fidgetability. So opening, closing, the flipper works great. The closing works great. It kind of does drop really well. I mean, I wish it was a little more buttery smooth. I think it's just been tightened too much. I have no idea how this works and how you're going to really get this knife out. It's just like a mystery to me completely, but very cool. Very, very cool. I think there's a lot of potential there, right? I think that's really cool. I love the finish on the blade. All that stuff is fantastic. So the textures, definitely has some texture here. Got some grip. This is non-functional. Doesn't really do anything. This works. This is nothing. It's just more decoration. Tanto, definitely have a little point and a point here. So, I mean, could be whatever you want it to be. If we, you know, if someone wanted to, you know, make this a knife to share with folks or sell or whatever, but just could be better. Could be better, right? I love the flipping. The flipping is great. Lock bar could be tuned just a little bit slightly softer, I think. It's a little stiff right now, but it does have pretty decent drop action, and I think it could become superb. This is the problem. This is the problem. So as far as the overall opening closing is pretty decent. It's not bad. I would say fidget factor on this guy is going to be 2.5. No, I'll give it a 3. It's a good flipper. If you're going to do a flipper and you're going to do it well, it deploys solidly. I mean, it really is. It's just a solid flipper. Disengage is not bad. It could be a little softer. It could be a little friendly, a little nicer. I'd say as far as the fidgety goodness goes, on this one's definitely higher. I'm going to say it's a 90. It's an A-. It's definitely an A realm. It's definitely better than an B. I like that. But, you know, there's a couple things they missed that could make this just so much better as far as I'm concerned. Just my overall thought. Is it recommended? Yeah, I'll recommend this one. This one is definitely a recommended knife. Is it a favorite? No. But it's definitely recommended. All right, next one here is the large prism. It's a big boy. And I'm trying not to punish it for the size and my shorter fingers. And that's where I try to be more patient with folks, right? If you have larger hands, you might enjoy this knife a lot more, right? So larger hands might enjoy this knife a lot more. I have difficulty with it. It's difficult to deploy, to get my hand in there. Yeah. So opening and closing, it's awkward. Closing is actually not bad. You can drop it, catch it there, drop it all the way. I mean, so that's nice. But it's still difficult with the clip, I feel like, and the size of the knife. So, you know, if you like really big knives, you're going to love this, right? So flipping, okay. The multiple deployments, yeah, it's all right. It does work. The front flipper is probably my favorite. I'm not a big fan of this flipper here. So this is probably the best way for opening and closing on the knife, and I like that. Overall design, textures, it's for show. There's more texture here, but this is just for show. There's not really grip. It doesn't really do much at all. I think it's just a pretty kind of thing, right? As far as a clip, there is a place for a lanyard clip. You can definitely see that. It is a little sharp on the edges. I wish it wasn't. It's not as bad as it could be, but it's definitely sharp here. So if my hands were bigger, it would definitely dig in. Because my hands are so small, it's totally out of the way. So it doesn't take into account. But the clip is still difficult to kind of get out there and reach for. So I'm not a fan of that, right? I'm not a big fan of that, and that kind of bothers me as far as the large prism. So what's the fidget factor on this one? I'll give it a 4 because it has two things. And the front flipper is relatively decent if you have big enough hands. So that's what I'm going to give it. Overall fidgety goodness as far as this one. This is my personal opinion. If you got big hands, this is going to be very different for you. It's going to be very different. But for me, the fidgety goodness on this one here, in particular from my personal experience on this knife, I'm going to give the personal experience on this one, it's going to be a 78. It's a C+. It's just, it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me for my smaller, not longer hands. But it's still done. It's great. It's absolutely well made. I'm just saying, if you like big knives, you're going to love this, right? But I'm just giving you my honest opinion, my experience. Take it for what it is. If you totally disagree with me on most of these things, you're going to say, hey, I'm wrong. And then you're going to know it's perfect. Or if you want to consider that, maybe, think twice and get a chance to handle it first, I might recommend that. All right, so then we have the smaller the smaller prism, because there's a large and mini tuna. I haven't reviewed the mini tuna yet, but I will. This is the smaller prism. I love the design, the idea of it. I hate the hidden clip. The hidden clip, it does nothing for me. It's just not enough texture to grip, right? The flipper is much better here. I like the flipper, and the front flipper works pretty decently because I can actually reach it, right? As far as with, walking distance of my hand, can reach up there and come back, right? It's not like I'm stretched out like some of the other bigger knives. I can reach it better. It's still big. It's still a challenge. And so that's my struggle with this one. It's still a challenge. Not bad, but still a challenge. All right. I think it's cool. It does have a lanyard little place there. You do have the back spacer. There's texture back here. Let's see, is it texture? The texture actually is very functional, this one. You can choke up, which is nice. So definitely a lot of room. I think that's really cool. The clip, I'm not a big fan of. The lanyard, everything else is great. Overall feel, it's all right. It's all right. What do I think is the fidgety goodness? Well, I will say, as far as these front flipper and reverse flipper, this one definitely has some better options. Again, sharp corners. Yeah, I'm not a fan. It's starting to dig in. I can tell, just trying to reach up there. I'll say the fidget factor on this one's going to be, I'll give it a 4. I'll give it a 4 as well. What do I think is the fidgety goodness? Because of the clip and how everything works and it's starting to get in there, this is going to be it's also an 80. It's a B-. Not a fan for my size hand. Not a fan for ergonomics for me. I think bigger hands, you're going to love this. And if you like hidden clips and that doesn't matter to you, you're going to love it. If that is important, yeah, you might want to check it out first. I think it's cool. I think the innovation, what they do here, and I think what this will lead to is amazing. I think some of the newer knives, like the Taro and stuff, I can see some of the work they did here, and I love how this came together. I love how this came together. This just really good. That's why I'm waiting on to do this last. So, not recommend it, not recommend it, absolutely recommend it, not recommend it, not recommend it, not recommend it, but not recommended against. I will tell you, if you have really large hands, really small hands, I would avoid these guys. These are too big. Both of these, these are better for larger hands. Just my 2 cents. If you like big knives, you can handle big knives, then go for it. You do you. But just my suggestion. But here we go to the Taro. I love my Taro, and a Midtech version is just a nice icing on the cake. This is a great, great knife. Yes, Handles are fantastic. I love the curved contoured handles, the rounded shape. It's very comfortable. You feel very, very solid presentation. The clip fits in the middle of your palm of your hand, feels really, really comfortable as far as that. For textures, the jimping on here is very functional. Works really great on here. Even the reverse jimping, if you're doing a push cut, pull cut, you know, into dog food, leather, plastic, or cardboard or whatever. So I like that. I like that. The lanyard definitely is there. It's not prioritized, but it's definitely there. The clip is nice. It's going to give a relatively deep pocket, so I love that. What else did we talk about? Overall feel, it's really nice. The action on this one is just as nice as mine. I think mine's a little better because it's Skiffs. And I think you put Skiffs in this thing would be insane. So, yeah, overall fidget factor. The thumb hole and the front flipper, this one is executed like I want to see it. This is going to get a 5.5. Round it up to 6, but it's a 5.5. You know, you're like, well, what about this one? It's just too night and day. So comfortable, easy to leverage, easy to get to, right? Very comfortable. Definitely for smaller hands to get in there. I like that. Now, if you have big old giant, oops, we're trying not to. So I'm having a little trouble getting in there because I'm flipping this really fast. I'm switching between knives. So, you know, once you get comfortable, it's different, right? But when I handle this, I love this knife. It's very, very comfortable, very easy to work with. But definitely, I'm going to give it a 4.5, like I said. 4.5 or 5.5? Yeah, 4.5. So it's a 5. We round it up to 5. What's the fidgety goodness on this one? They did a really outstanding job. I'm going to give it a 95, a 97, A plus, A plus. Not quite 100. Only reason why I'm not quite 100 because sometimes I got to get the right angle, get my finger into that thumb hole, fuller hole. I think if it was just a little bit wider, it'd be nice. But, you know, it is what it is right now. But I love this. And I'm definitely going to give this a, like I said, what did I say, 98? I think a 98, right? A plus? Yeah, 98. And the only reason why I didn't is because of that. All right. Is it recommended? This is absolutely recommended. This is also going to go in my favorites. Recommend it, but also favorites for sure. So there you go. That's the 7. I think they're interesting. I absolutely think they're interesting. I don't know what you think, but I wanted to share these with you. I got to get them going. It's a lot of knives to look at. Yeah, would I like to take in a little more time? Maybe in the future I can do one at a time. But, you know, this is a cool way to compare them, to get a feel for them, and just give you my experience on these. If you're looking and you come to me and say, man, I like big knives. I like big knives. I don't really care about thumb studs. I got big old calluses, so I don't care. I like it a little tight. It's easy to get to. It's easier to slow roll and all that stuff. Is there anything that's got like a nice big blade? Maybe it could be a Tonto, right? It could be maybe a, you know, could be a harpoon blade shape, or even kind of like a really weird, you know, Warncliffe Tonto sort of look thing. You got anything you could recommend? Komodo, would recommend that. Salvatore, would recommend that. Would even recommend the Marlin, because if that's the case, you could probably get past the clip on this thing, right? You could make that work. All right, you can say, well, I like Persian style knives, but is there anything that's like maybe like a Tonto kind of knife? It's got a good flipper. It's fine if it's just a single deployment. I like flipper, you know, with some cool materials. The Rhino's that. I've got to recommend that. Now, I already told you to recommend that. I like big knives. I just like big knives. I enjoy big knives. Really cool, different aesthetics, something completely different. Love to pull it out of my collection. Just check it out. Large prism, small prism. These knives were meant for you, right? So you could go for those, right? Not my cup of tea on these 5. This one's more so. It's still really outside my aesthetic, but the weird thing is I hate to say it's grown on me. It's grown on me so much so that this is actually one of my favorite Poikilo knives. I still love the Gecko the most, but this is my second favorite Poikilo knife right now. I really, really like this one. The Taro's great. All right. That's my thoughts on this. I know it's a long video, but I wanted to cover them all. I got to get these going to the next guy. And man, a big shout out, a big thank you to Poikilo Knives. I appreciate you allowing me to check them out. I appreciate you allowing me to be honest and not blow sunshine up people's nose and just tell them my experiences. But I think I've been honest. I think I have been honest that if people, everybody is different. Everybody has different ergonomics. And that's why I say, you know, you can't let one person absolutely decide what you want. What it does, it allows you to say, maybe I'll go pursue that knife, or maybe those are concerns I have, and you know, maybe you have the same size hands as me, and everything I said is really important. I'll give you some thought to chew on, and maybe some of these things will really help you make that decision whether to even look at the knife or to consider buying it. So that's my hope here, because these are my experiences. I will tell you, if they were to change the thumb studs, this is my favorite looking of all the knives. Actually, this one's really cool. This one's really cool. If the thumb studs changed on this, if I could just rip these out and put my own thumb studs, I would. Now, I did find out, just so if you didn't know, you can move these thumb studs forward. And by moving these forward, it doesn't give you more room. It doesn't give you more room. It just makes the leverage a little bit lower for smaller hands. So for smaller hands, you can get out there, maybe a little less push, right? But you can move them. That was the whole goal, to have the two whole things. I don't know what it buys you. I'm not sure. I think better thumb studs would be the best. After that, this one's cool enough for me to say, yeah, I'll be willing to check this out. It's weird looking. It's like a Wardenclyffe sheep's foot Tonto thing, sort of, whatever. But it's cool. I like it. I think it's cool. All right, that's my thoughts on this. Love to hear your thoughts. Like I said, love to hear your thoughts. All right, if you found this content fun, interesting, worthwhile, or informative, would you please consider hitting the like button down below? And if you've already hit that like button, would you please consider hitting the subscribe button? Subscribing and liking the channel really helps me out, allows me to produce more content, do more things, ultimately do more things for you guys. So big thank you to everyone who watches, enjoys the content, part of the community. I appreciate you. If you haven't already, hit that notification button down below as well so you can be notified of future content like this and other videos. And a big shout out to my channel members. You do two amazing things. I don't do this full-time, I'm part-time, and so you are like my workout buddy. You encourage me to keep doing what I love doing. You remind me of what I love doing when sometimes I forget because I get so busy. So thank you. The other thing you do is by your generosity of your memberships, you allow me to do things way sooner than I ever thought I could. For instance, I can do weekly giveaways thanks to you. I can cover the cost of shipping, checking out knives. Things get expensive, right? I can cover the cost of the weekly giveaways. I can cover the, certain expenses, other things that occur for this channel. So thank you to channel members out there. You're a huge part of this, and I appreciate you. As a way for me to say thank you, I do two exclusive things for channel members. I do a once a week monthly giveaway for channel members. That's above the weekly budget banger giveaway that everybody gets every week. But it's a kind of a exclusive giveaway just for the channel members. I try to do between $100 and $300, something nice that you would enjoy receiving or giving. The other thing I also would like to do is all brand new channel members, I'd love to send you a channel sticker and a thank you note. So if you become a brand new channel member today, you're like, hey, that sounds really cool. How to become a channel member? Well, email me with your name and address, and I can do that. Any of this sounds cool, check out the link down below. I have a link in the description. It shows you 3 different tiers that I have. I'd love to have you. Please don't ever feel obligated, but if you want to be a member, I am grateful and humbled, and thank you. Also, if you haven't already, check me out on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Again, that's on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day and a great week. Bye.